I'm excited to be here in beautiful Sydney at WOTSO. And I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves.
Cool.
And your background and kind of how you got here.
So I'm Jessie Glue, CEO of WOTSO. I've been with WOTSO 15 years now. Actually, maybe it's just under 15 years. I got here as a receptionist, worked in the business. WOTSO came out of our property portfolio, so we didn't even know what we were doing at the start. We went over and had a look at what WeWork was doing. They were doing some pretty cool things about 10, 12 years ago. Probably not so much now, but they were leading the charge. We had a look at what they were doing, brought the idea back to Australia and had to go. And I've been a part of it since then.
Crazy, 15 years.
Yeah.
How about you, Ro?
My name's Paula. I'm a regional manager here at WOTSO. I have been with the business for about 7 years now. I started off on the ground and I've worked my way up to be the regional manager. I actually have a background in disability, which is a bit left of field, but yeah.
And she's a liar. She is the regional property manager. She is the designer.
Marketing.
She is the coach. She's marketing. She's sales. She's maintenance.
Yeah. I'm the cleaner. I'm the barista.
So don't sell yourself short. So, I mean, what I loved about it is I toured the first location in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It's so unique, so cool. The design, you've been here from the beginning, but you've kind of taken over it. So how did y'all decide to do, I joked around, and the reason I used that is because someone explained to me when we were touring the one in Brisbane, they're like, oh, it's kind of like a hostel. And really it is, because from the standpoint of you go in a hostel and they use everything to design, and it has so many different, I want to use the word eccentric feels to it, but yet it feels so homey. So how'd that evolution occur?
So for us, I know that you called it hostel. I used to call it hostel, and then we had a big meeting and everyone said, Jess, you have to stop calling us a backpackers and a hostel because we're more than that. And so then I went with, at the conference, home brand with the sparkle. Do you know what home brand here is? Yeah. So I feel like we are offering something that is fit for purpose, but at a cost-effective level. And the way that we've been able to do that is through our fit-outs and not having them cost $3,000, $4,000 a square metre, costing sort of $1,000 a square metre. And we do that through upcycling, recycling, repurposing materials. But Paula does it best and has a lot of fun with it and has now done how many fit-outs?
Oh, maybe 6 or 7, I'd say.
Yeah. With, I reckon, one of the better ones that you've had
Robina.
fun with is Robina. Yeah.
Robina was so fun.
Tell about Robina, because I love that space.
I think the fun bit about the fit outs for me is just like seeing all the stuff that we get to recycle and kind of having just a vision for like what we can do with it. We had some really strange items that Jessie wanted us to keep from a Centrelink fit out. And my proudest, the thing I'm most proud of is just, walking through and being like, that was this weird thing in Centrelink, and that was from our building in Fortitude Valley. And our chairman had all of these shutters from his house that we'd been collecting for years, collecting dust. And I was like, what if we just put them up everywhere in the space? That could be cool. And then we painted them all these crazy fluoro colors. And it just really makes the space. It's weird, but it's funky.
It's now become our brand, and we've lent into it.
Yeah.
Initially, we thought we needed to change and move with the times and create something a bit more corporate and premium, but we've lent into what we've done and we've doubled down on it, and I think that's allowed us to create our own identity. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, you clearly stand out, right? I think that's the coolest part about it is it's not the stuffy feel, right? It's not the word, then you have a space that's for health, but and we'll get into that. But that is a sterile space. But what I love about it is everything in here has a story, right?
Yeah.
You could sit here and go, this came from this building, and this is how we did that, and this is the idea that we had here. But you even said it. You kind of let your builders get creative with some of this stuff to some extent. But I think that's part of the uniqueness that comes with it is. I don't know who was talking about it at the conference the other day, but they were talking about there needs to be a story and being able to be a good storyteller.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who it was? They were talking about valuation, right?
Yes.
You got to create that.
Was it Sammy from Colliers? No,
it was the guy. There was a valuation. One of the master classes.
Oh, Jack.
Yes.
In the middle from
one of the brothers.
Yeah.
He said we create the financial model so that we can tell a story, and that's essentially what we get to do. Is the cool part is there's people that walk in here and they're like, this is weird shit, this will never work for us. And then there's people that walk in and they're like, oh my god, this is brilliant. I've walked into a bunch of stuffy spaces and this one makes me feel
At
home,
home.
right? And I think that's a big part of it is almost like we're seeing. I use hotels all the time, as y'all know. I talk about bon voyage. There's people that don't want to go into a hotel that has IKEA furniture because it looks cheap, but then they don't want to pay the price to go stay at a Ritz-Carlton or an Autograph or anything like that. And so it's, to me, there's some of the interesting dynamics. I mean, so let's talk about kind of like the evolution. I think let's start from the deal structure first and foremost. You guys own or have owned a bunch of your real estate.
Yep.
So how did that evolution start?
Yeah, so we started as a traditional real estate investment trust. So we're listed on the ASX. We had a bunch of vacancy coming off the back of the GFC that we couldn't fill with traditional tenants, which is why we explored flex, co-working, and created the brand. We still own, 14 of our sites are in assets that we own.
Out of how many?
Out of 34.
Okay.
So what's that? 60% unowned, like in assets we don't own. Yeah. 40% in assets that we do own. And I guess the benefit is that you get to play around a lot more with the property. You can turn it into your brand. Whereas when we go into someone else's asset, we can't turn the property into our own brand. So a lot of our properties that we own, we mural the entire thing. It looks like sometimes, I mean, our chairman has said one of them looks like someone threw up on it, but others are a lot more appealing and a lot more fun. And then we carry that mural internally, put our signage up. For us, we don't do a lot of marketing externally. A lot of our stuff is based on referrals, on our members.
Well, it's the word of mouth.
Yeah, word of
the
mouth,
spaces,
exactly.
right?
And then signage for us. So if we can get a big fuck off sign on the side of the building.
Oh, I saw it when we pulled up.
that does it for us. And then in terms of deal structure, we've moved more into basing our deals off a percent of turnover, which has allowed us to build the business. As we all know, the first 12 months can be challenging, and you need time to attract people to the space. You need time for people to experience what you're giving, and we've based our deals on turnover. So our deals are 45% of turnover, or a low base rent, somewhere between $100 per square meter or $200 per
So by turnover, you mean it's some kind of JV/partnership, or?
Yeah, I suppose I would call it partnership, although they're not involved in the expense side. So it's just revenue side.
Yeah.
So if you're turning over $1 million and your deal is 45% of turnover, you're paying them $450K in rent. It allows, I guess, your landlord partner to be invested in what you're doing and not want to impact what's going on around you. Because obviously the better your turnover is, the better they're doing.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And how does it work for you to see the design? I mean, because you're a jack of all trades at this point.
Yeah.
You get to see people from the time they walk into the door and take the tours and get around the space to then helps you, I'm sure, figure out how to design space, what works, what doesn't. I mean, how's that played out for you, and how have you learned through those interactions?
Yeah, I definitely feel like our design has gone through a lot of evolutions. I think there wasn't a lot of thought put in at the beginning, but I think as we progress, you can really see how people interact with the space, what people are drawn to, what they don't like, and each time we just try different iterations of that. But yeah, there are some people that it's amazing. I see people, obviously, sometimes I tour them in the design phase, and I went back to Robina, and those people are still there a year and a half later, and they've grown and they've taken on 2 or 3 more offices. So it just shows that if people buy in from day dot and they feel like they're part of the whole project, that they're invested and they want to stay, and you've kind of almost built that space around them.
Yeah, and I think part of the cool part about the spaces is you only have lids, as you call them here, or ceilings in the conference space, or you do in some of the health and wellness spaces. But for the most part, you're open
Lidless.
ceiling, lidless spaces, and you do have some music in parts of it, and the AC and stuff like that. But has that become an issue?
Yeah, it can be polarizing. So some people will not come in because there's no lid, and they don't want to be in that kind of environment. But the funny thing is, how many times have you had a private conversation in a coffee shop? And how many of us have private conversations in coffee shops? And there's people sitting right next to us that could overhear your conversation, right? In this environment, if you add enough music, if you have the aircon running, if there's people talking, it kind of all disappears. And once you're sitting in the space, as long as you're comfortable with being part and being in a community and buying into the community, you actually quite enjoy it. And I think we've found a lot of our members open their doors now as well to invite people in. Yeah. So it's helped build our community, but it's not for everyone. And we're not trying to be for everyone. When we aren't for everyone. There will be people that do not want to come into our space, that don't like how it looks, that don't like that there's no lid. But then we've got people, as you say, Paula, I mean, we've had members be with us for 10 years because they buy in and they love it. But yeah, we won't be for everyone.
So part of the building community, how do you build engagement?
Events, I think it is about that customer journey. It's about like the team making connections with all the members. It's about introducing people and being like, okay, well, you'll have a synergy with this business. But it is just that consistent connection to all the people that you have on site, constantly checking in.
You know, the funny thing about community for us, we have spent probably 8 years trying to work out how to make this thing work. And we initially jumped into it, dived into it, and went, what the frick? How does it work? What are we meant to do? I think we spent a lot of time on the operations of the business, and the last 18 months, which we should have done a long time ago, but we hadn't, we've turned inward and looking at our community and how we can further support them. And that's probably, I've got an excitement again. Not that I lost an excitement, but it's the community, it's the people, it's what they're doing. And we're learning more about their businesses and how can we marry this person with that person. We're talking about pitch nights. We should have done a lot of this a while ago, but we were too busy working out how to make it all work.
Well, since COVID, everyone was thinking, how do I survive this, right? And what do we have? What are we selling?
Yes.
But, I mean, we talked about it at the conference, and we were talking about it on the drive up here, which she is a questionable driver.
Good driver.
That's not what your mom thinks. But it's people and how to connect with people and how to read people and all those things, right? And I think that's the difference between the groups that are successful and not. Are you passionate about what you do? Are you passionate about the driving, the hospitality, and the energy, and the community, and the success? And do you sleep 2 hours a night because you take on too many roles and you don't know how to say no? And I think those are all part of it, right? But it's because you're passionate and driven about it. It's not always about the money. The money comes, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny. That was one of the conversations Jamie and I had, and several people were like, why are you going to Australia? And I'm like, I don't know either. They're like, you're never going to do a deal out there. And I'm like, I'm not going out there because I'm going to go do real estate in Australia. I'm going out there because I want to connect with people. I want to see different types of products. I want to see what works and what doesn't. And a big part of it is connecting with people on a heart level, right? And helping people be seen. And that's what you and your team get. I mean, I walked through the door with you this morning. There was 5 big smiling faces with 5 people that all looked different, that had different backgrounds and skill sets, all looking at me like, hi, how are you? But again, that's what makes the world turn, right? Is the fact that you can't service everyone, but you've got different people on your team that have different skills. And how do you manage the team? How do you understand who do you send in for a negotiation versus who you send in to deal with an issue that requires a little more softness, if you will? I mean, we were talking about the Enneagram on the way in. But it doesn't have to be that. But how do you know who's got what skill set and how to do that?
I think that's been an interesting one for us. A lot of our team has been with us for a long time. I mean, our regional management team, there wouldn't be anyone sort of under 4 years that's been with us. And so I think the skill set has developed and we learn on the go. So a lot of people are learning as they're in the role. But in terms of at a site level, we're bringing on people from hospitality, from events, from what other retail, a lot of retail. I think we were talking about before this whole idea of retailifying co-working and putting it in front of people so that it's, you've got inventory to sell. Your inventory is your desks, your meeting rooms. And we found that by making it a retail concept, it's really taken off. The skill set for that, though, is varied. And as you say, different skills lend to different tasks. At a site level, we've got people that are more appropriate with the meet and greet, our reception team members, and then you've got the guys that are, can have the tough conversations. We have a training program, so we've built in an 8-week training program for anyone that comes into the business. Our head of people, Claire, pulled that together, and it's insane. They go through every sort of component of the business, examples, they've got to do courses, they've got to pass those courses, and then if we're finding that along the way they might need a bit more education in a particular part, they'll go back and redo that component, or a member of training will come and join them. I mean, what do you reckon in your experience at the site level? Do you see you would send Harry in, for example, to handle a particular conversation and Alyssa to handle another conversation.
Totally. But also members, I think, naturally gravitate to certain members of the team for certain things. And often you'll find that, you know, your reception team or what we call our space coordinators, sometimes they're the ones that actually get the information firsthand and are the ones dealing with any kind of feedback. And then we're sending in, okay, cool, like what do we do now? How do we approach this? Then we'll send in Harry or a space leader or someone else to
Well, that's the interesting part. You said sometimes the member / client gets to pick. And I mean, as a businessman, as a human psychologist that we are, you know, we pick and choose our victim, right? If I want something, I know that if I go to Paula, I'm not going to get it. But mom's not going to give it to me. Dad will. And if dad says no, then I'll go back to mom. And if not, I'll go to my grandma. And so that's kind of how we work. And so sometimes it's, I hate to say it, sometimes it's putting people in a box to a certain extent and going, you're the people pleaser. So if someone comes and asks you for something, you got to get approval for it first. And it's not because we don't trust you, but we know it's hard for you to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I am that person. I find it difficult to say no. In fact, the team have called me give it away glue, which is
that is awesome.
It's just when
give it away glue.
I have a good example of this. During COVID, we kind of scaled back all our team because obviously people couldn't get out of their LGA here. Okay. And one day Jessie turned up to site to help run it because she was near our Manly site. Okay. And she made a sale and she took cash for the sale, which we don't do. No one's ever taken cash. It's only card or bank account. And she's like, I have this cash. What do I do with it? And we were like, Jessie, why did you take cash and coins? Like, why did you do that? You're going to have to go, I don't know, you figure it out. But yeah.
And it's so interesting, right? Because sometimes we don't even realize it. Like I've got a client that's a good friend of mine that he actually owns, he is a hotel owner, and he got in this business just because he's out in the suburbs of Dallas and couldn't find space, so he decided to build it. And I tried advising him on different things, and he didn't know that it was going to be successful or not. It's a 40,000 square foot building, so it's a big space, and so he only built out 2 floors. He didn't build out the third because he might need to put a bank or something up there. But the other thing he did is he got a private fitness kind of personal training gym to take the back corner, and he gave him a huge sign on the building. And I'm just like, why did you do that? And he's like, well, I didn't know any better and no one told me not to. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure someone told you not to.
And I'm a yes guy.
Yeah, and he's definitely not a yes guy, but I think he had so much anxiety about making it successful that he gave it away. But
we do a lot of that. We don't build out portions of our space at the start because we don't know what the particular area's demand might be. I mean, being suburban and regional means that each area tends to lend itself to different types of businesses, and often you might think it's going to lend itself to a particular business type, but in fact it goes the other way, and you've got space that you can then build out to that. I mean, you've seen our co-working area, so our open plan space. We're generally making that 20% of our space is open plan, co-working, and 80% is offices, but we will start at 40% co-working and 60% offices, and that 20% allows us to respond to weird demands, whatever it might be.
Well, your build out allows for you to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to worry about, to a certain extent, you don't have to worry about the plumbing, electrical, sprinkler systems, all that stuff, because it's open. So you're just building walls, and so to a certain extent, it's modular without being modular.
Yeah.
And I think that makes such a big difference. All right, let's talk about your passions. So this morning I'm waiting for her. She's like, I'll pick you up at your hotel. And I'm like, okay. And I walk out, and she's this prim and proper executive. And I'm like, okay, there's a BMW over there. And there's seats on the opposites of the U.S., so I'm having to reach all the way across. I'm like, that's not her. And then I see a 10, I'm like, that's not her. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay,
she's late.
Supposed to be here 2 minutes ago. I rush down here, and she pulls up in a car that's like a billboard. It's like the entire, and I'm like, all right. So I would post a picture of it, by the way. And so I get in, and I'm like, so is this a company car? And you're like, I said, is this a company car? Did you go get this just for me, or is it your personal car? And she said, it's my personal car. I just wanted to do it. So that takes a whole lot of passion and drive and desire. I mean, why, where does the passion come from, right? And not just for the business, but just in general, for people and I mean, I've seen the way your team interacts with you, and just I saw you're on the board of FWA, which is the Flexible Workspace Australia Association. You know, what drives you?
I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. Initially it was a love for property and creating space. And then it was a love for how people responded to that space and how they would engage with it. And then we suddenly had a team, and that scared me shitless because I wanted to make sure that everyone was happy, which is really hard to do. It's really hard to make a team happy all the time, but you learn. And that's the other thing I love is every day in this role is different. I think you would experience that too, Paula.
Yeah,
you know, we get to do such cool stuff every day. You get to meet different people. You get to engage with different businesses. You get to be doing a fit out. We do all of our stuff in-house. So we design our spaces in-house. We do the layouts in-house. That bit is really fun. And then filling the space, and then what you get to do with community activations. There's just each bit has something about it that lights a fire. And then building a team has been something that, going back to that bit, I was so fearful of it because it's people's careers that you're playing with. It's their lives that you're playing with. We spend so much time at work. How do you build a business? And as you grow, how do you continue to have people engaging with the business and being happy to be there and want to be there? Because we're there all the freaking time. So how do you do that? And I still have absolutely no idea how to do that, but we're doing it all together, and we have a really open, I feel that the business is open for feedback. We've got ways that you can write in anonymously. You can talk to any of us. It's an open door policy, quite a flat structure, I feel. Our hot tub sessions. We have hot tub sessions. Not in a hot tub.
It was like,
We don't.
I'm not judging. I don't have anything with it.
That's
but
why it's so great to work here.
Yeah, we all hop in the hot tub.
All right.
No.
I didn't bring my swimsuit.
I need to clarify. Our hot tub sessions are just a virtual session where everyone can jump on and ask any question.
In their own hot tubs.
Yeah, they're on their hot tubs.
That's even more. How do you? Okay.
But because we're all remote, that is the hardest part. How do you connect everyone that is working remotely? And that was one of the ways that we looked at doing it.
Okay, so that was a really cute, fluffy BS business answer. Where did your passion originally come from, right? Because it didn't come in the last 15 years. At some point, you became passionate and you became giveaway glue before you were giving it away. So
I love giving back.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how that links directly.
Did you get that from mom, dad? You were a leader in school. You played sports.
I was a leader. I swam. So I actually went to University of Hawaii.
Okay.
I was on a scholarship there.
Which the thing about swimmers is they wake up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, we did. Well, it was 4 a.m.
Well, you wake up at 3 and then you're in the pool at 4, or you wake up at 4 and you're in the pool by 5.
So we woke up at 4 in the pool at 4:30.
Okay.
Swam in the morning, gym in the afternoon, and yeah, it was intense, but I didn't enjoy that as much as when I started working and engaging with people. When you swim, you're alone. It is a solo sport up and down that black line, and
you can't hear anything under
can't
there.
hear
All you
anything
see
under
is the
there.
black line underneath you.
Yeah, and it's full on, and it broke me, to be honest. University of Hawaii broke me, and then I came back and
What does broke me mean?
I was done. I didn't want to look at a pool again. I lost my passion for the very thing that I loved. It broke. And so then I had to find a passion for something else. And I found that I just like giving back.
See,
that sounds really
so
lame.
hard. It's not lame, it's true.
Silly. I know, but how do you link that to what you do at work?
Who pulls up in a billboard and loves it?
Yeah, no, but is that giving back?
Well, yeah, you're giving to the company. It's like you're driving around a billboard. You're teaching your team how to be a team member. Yeah. Right. You walked in, all their faces lit up. Right. I got to see that. Everyone you talked to, with the exception of certain people that weren't there, you interact with, and people gravitate towards you, right? And so that's part of that passion, and you have to recognize that, right? And I think that's the problem. And we were talking about, the industry, and people know who they can go to and count on, right? And you're one of those people. I saw it. You're on the committee and all those things, and you're highly respected. WOTSO's highly respected. Your team's highly respected. And again, I think it's because you got broken, right? And you're like, I don't want to do this alone, and we're not called to do life alone. And it's so hard as a athlete at that level to do that.
And
right?
fail. You do something for so long and then you fail at it. That was the other thing, failing. man, failing hurt. You know, I'm going to make the Olympics. This is what I'm going to do. I'm driving everything for this. And then not to get there and come back and I had to re-identify what was I, because all I stood for was swimming. And so the failure was hard.
So what's another word for failure that came from it?
Strength? I don't know. Yeah. Strength?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes strength to even try. There's how many people never even try?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what, and again, your team sees that.
Yeah.
Your mom sees it clearly.
Mom sees my bad driving. Oh, don't kill Gio on the drive out.
I mean, what would you say? Am I right? I mean, do you see her as an inspirational leader?
Definitely.
She's paid to say that.
But I think it's interesting just hearing that backstory. I knew that Jessie was a swimmer, but I don't think I thought about where the drive comes from, and you know, like going through all of that and then having to reinvent what you're doing and build up that drive again. But I definitely see where all the commitment and showing up every day comes from, because I'm sure that was something that you had to do.
Well, you didn't have a choice,
No,
right?
you had a choice.
And I think, I mean, I challenge you on this, right? As your next team meeting, explain to them why you are where you are and how you got there. And because even like, you know, you identifying as failure, it wasn't failure, right? It's in order to not succeed at something, you got to try, right? And I think that's the difference between people that, I tell people all the time, there's two types of people that deal with anxiety or success, anything you want to call it, is those that never willing to even try and they'll never know what they could do, and those of us that try and we'll figure out what we're good at and what we're successful at, and that's how you find that lane. Funny enough that I use that word with the swimming thing, but you know what lane people go in and where their skill set is, right? You weren't a diver, you were a swimmer, right?
Yeah, yep.
And so it's understanding those things, and you know, like she just said, I mean, understanding your background, and everyone's gotten here, and you're next to get picked on. But
I thought I dodged a bullet.
No. But I mean, I think understanding where people come from, and back to what we were talking about, the Flex Uncensored, and just people is, we all do the things we do for a reason, right? And it's like, for me, I share with you, I came out here because I wanted to connect with people like you. I didn't come out here because I thought I was going to make money. And, you know, I think that's part of the exciting part is, do we make ourselves available to the people in our community? And that's what you and your staff get to do.
We do.
To be successful, is you make yourself accessible in a way that makes a difference in their lives.
Cool. I'm looking at my clock, and I know you're videoing. Have they contacted us?
Harry called me.
Okay. Are they here?
Wasn't looking at my
We're
phone.
allowed to do that in the middle of an interview.
It's uncensored. You can do anything you want.
They're here now.
They're here now.
What do you have a tour?
We have a tour.
Okay.
With a big.
We'll go do a tour. I'll save it, and then
Will
we'll
you?
finish.
And then can we finish? We'll be, I reckon.
There's no rush. I don't
Really?
Have anything. There's no rush. I don't have
Is that
anything
okay?
until 12:30.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then I can probably drive you home then, if you're happy to do that. I like the hair up, Gio.
Yeah. Business.
I play with it all the time. Part dos. We had a brief intermission so she could go try to sell a landlord on why they need to go over there. Actually, you don't have to sell them. It sounds like they already
I
want
think
you.
they're on board. Yeah.
You just have to tell them the truth.
Yeah. Gotta learn how to tell the truth in a.
Well, it's
in a
not
nice way.
that. Yeah, it's just, we were just talking about he asked for feedback, and she was afraid to hurt his feelings, even though he asked for feedback. And I get it. I mean, again, that's you're a good person, right? And that's the difference between you and other people that you don't care for, right? It's how we deliver truth.
I would like to learn how to deliver truth.
You already know.
No, in a way that received positively. There's some people that deliver truth really well, and there's people that deliver truth really badly, right?
But again, we just had the conversation. He asked for feedback.
I know, but it's how you deliver the feedback and delivering it in a way that brings them on board rather than pushes them away.
You're a gracious, loving, kind person, so you're not going to deliver feedback in an abrasive way.
No.
So it's quite the opposite, right? So there's people that I have to help understand how to deliver things softly.
Yeah.
With you, it's like how do you deliver things in a manner that you're boldly stepping into that.
Yeah.
And again, they've asked you don't. It's completely different when someone hasn't given you permission.
Yeah.
Right.
When someone's listening.
And like I said, someone like you may need to, are you sure you want my feedback? And I do that all the time with people. I mean, I'll tell you, even like when I'm dating people, I'm like, do you really want to know the answer? I'll tell you the answer, whatever you want. And sometimes people don't want that. I mean, a lot of times with people like me, the relationship is they're like, I love how open you are until you're open about everything. They're like, well, you don't have to be so open. And I'm just like, well, I tell people all the time, I'm stupid. Black or white, right? I don't know gray area very well. I'm working on it. And I mean, that's where my partnerships with like Jamie and Liz and other people help me really understand that side of it, because I do know those two things. And so that's where this podcast is so great with Jamie and I, because we look at things completely different. She's a people pleaser and she's super from the standpoint of organized. And I told you, I don't even know how to put one of these podcasts up. And so I think that's the cool part, is we surround ourselves with people that can do that. But you know, you as a leader, your team's looking at how you respond, and you're teaching them that, almost like the same way we were talking about before about the transparency of how you became passionate about life, is you had to reinvent yourself.
I only discovered that on this podcast, by the way.
I know, and it was just a simple question, right? And so I think the better we can become at doing that with ourselves, the better we can help our team do that, and the better we can make even our clients. Sometimes when we're dealing with difficult circumstances, sometimes they're not even mad about the situation or the circumstance they're coming to us with. It's something else, right? Yeah. And it's meeting people where they're at. Sometimes they've got a spouse that's dealing with terminal cancer. They've had a miscarriage. They're dealing with, some type of trauma or something like that. And stepping back, and I think that's where your team either succeeds or fails, and not just yours, everyone's, is going, do we see the person or do we see the situation? Right? And so often I had to learn as a salesperson, I had to learn to listen and not hear, right? Because when you hear, you're just waiting to rebuttal. And when you listen, you're truly listening. Like going back to the issue, is sometimes an executive is asking you a question because they're testing you, right? They want to know how you're going to respond. Yeah. And I gave you the example about my buddy, my mentor, that would basically, I gave you the example of, he would, before he hired an executive, he'd invite them to lunch, and he would get there or before them, and tell the waiter or waitress to screw up the order. Mm-hmm. And so how did they respond, right? Were they loving, kind, gracious? Did they eat the food that was brought out to them because they didn't want to look bad in front of their hiring CEO? What they do, how'd they respond, number one, and number two is he'd look and see how they ate, meaning did they start putting salt and pepper on their food without even tasting it? Mm. They're assuming that already needs salt and pepper. Yeah. And so those people are going to come in and start changing your company without even knowing what to do. Right? And it's just so simple, right? Yeah. It doesn't even seem that difficult. But again, back to your question, is you want to know how to do that better, it's just watching people, right? It's interacting with the room. It's understanding how people are sitting, how they're, we had conversations about certain people at the conference that, you knew were uptight. So, you don't go there. But certainly, you don't stop being who you are and making everyone the other 70% of people comfortable, because 30% are uncomfortable, right? Because those 30% don't want to change, right? They're dinosaurs that, I hate to say it, are going to die because they don't want to do things any differently. Yeah. And I think that's the difference, is your team's watching everything you do, both of you, right? Yeah. And they're interacting with people the way they see you interact. Yeah. And so I think that's part of it, is you want to know how to be more straightforward and tell the truth.
Just be more straightforward.
Just be you. Just be you, right? Yeah. Then you don't have to guess. Yeah. And that's what I tell people all the time, is there's a reason why I stopped lying or manipulating or fluffing or any of those things, because then I don't have to go back and be like, oh my gosh, what did I say?
Yeah, you can't remember the facts.
Yeah. Or almost like why I wear only black, right? I don't have to go, what did I wear last time I saw them? And what was I wearing on the last podcast?
That's a girl problem. Girls.
No, it's a guy problem. Yeah, I mean, if you think about our industry. Yeah. I mean, I saw that guy walk by. I was like, this guy doesn't belong here, right? And you can tell. It's funny. I laugh because brokers look the same way regardless of where you go in the world. They all look the same. The little pocket square with a vest, and it's super interesting, right? It's the psychology. All right, getting back into it. So, how'd that tour go?
It was good. I think, it's hard to sell. It can be challenging to sell to a landlord, but we talked about at the conference, if you know what their problem is, you can solve for it. And I think that's what we're solving for with this particular landlord. They have a problem. They've got a park, a business park that they're trying to activate and get tenants into. They're looking to flex to be one of the uses that can go into that park. But then, we spoke about on the way here, you do a bad deal, it might not work. The business definitely doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So we have to make sure, despite the fact that we can solve the landlord's problem, we have to make sure that we do the right deal with them.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that they don't manipulate us into a situation where our business doesn't work and isn't viable. So that's the challenge. It's been a 12-month challenge, but we'll eventually get there with this landlord.
Yeah, but we talked about it too. Right back to the transparency and honesty. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I hate management deals, and the reason I don't like them is because every one of them is a boss, right? And so every single landlord has different expectations, different views, different desires, and so that's why I tell my clients, as long as you understand that you're going to have a boss to answer to, and you may get an asset manager that says, hey, I trust you, just send me a report every 30, 60, 90, 120 days, and then you have those that are like, how many tours did you have today? How many did you close? Why did you close them? And then now you're dealing with that dynamic. So not only are you navigating your team, the client, but now you're navigating a business partner that's made it that much more difficult, right? And so that's even part of what we have to manage with those dynamics. And again, I'm not saying management deals don't work or non-traditional deals. It's just we have to know what we're getting into, because it's a whole new navigation.
I couldn't agree more. We not for management agreements either. Not because we want to run the business. We don't want to spend the entire time reporting about the business. We love what we're doing, and if we can operate it well, then it will do well. But if we spend the whole time reporting on this, that, and the other thing, we don't get any enjoyment out of that. And I just don't think it helps the operations.
Yeah.
When we talked about green apples, red apples, we don't want to be reporting to a landlord why we chose green apples instead of red apples. So we we do sway towards a share of turnover, which we talked about before.
Yeah, and
It
I think
works for
that's the interesting part, right? Is what works for you, and you go from that standpoint. All right, let's talk about enterprise, right? I mean, you're doing the sales and the marketing, all that stuff. I mean, we're all talking about the traditional, small to medium-sized company's been around forever, right? 30 plus years since Surf Corp started, and speaking of dinosaurs, and that's been used forever. But now the enterprise is starting to go in. I mean, you've got big blocks of space that you've got 30 to 50 people in, right?
Yep.
And so who's coming in? Who are you seeing moving towards that? I mean, what are they looking for? Are they looking for the service? What do they want?
I think with enterprise, we're seeing businesses want to try and engage their employees, and by having an offering, a community, a lot of different products in the space, by having the events, by having the wellness, they're looking for that full product, and that's why they're coming to Flex, I would say.
They don't want to do it themselves.
They don't
know how to do it themselves. They're looking for someone else to activate that.
Not done it they're not able to do it, and now they're trying to get everyone back in and be bought in.
But don't you reckon also they're reducing their size of space because they're using the services within Flex, right? So they are only taking maybe 75% or even 50% of what they originally needed, because they then book the services that they need. So they can break out into our kitchens, or they can book the meeting rooms. We don't offer a lot of that size space because we're finding that there's so much demand in the 2 to 6 packs offices. It's incredible, and our competition is the kitchen table, right? It's people. We're trying to convince people to get off the kitchen table and into our space and use and be part of a community. The enterprise client for us is if we have a space that's sometimes too large. We might have taken on too much space at a lease level, and we're looking to backfill some of that space by putting these clients in. But really, our market's small to medium business that the kitchen table is their normal office.
Yeah, and we talked about I think we talked about at the conference, right? About the restaurateur, right? That's going, I want a bunch of 4 tops that if I need to put 4 tops together, I can do, an 8 or a 12 top. But the idea of building an 8 or 12 top that now I'm telling people, oh, do you mind sitting at the end of one, or we make it a community table? It's difficult. Yeah. And so it's going, we already know that business is there, right? And how do we get really good at it? And that's something you guys have really owned, from what I could tell, is going, hey, we don't have to build this fancy, expensive space with a ton of private offices with lids. I'm saying that. But I mean, I think that's the cool part is you know who you are, you know what box you fall into, which was a big part of what we discussed, is knowing your brand, knowing your identity, knowing all those things, and just being the best at it you can.
And be confident with it, knowing that it works, knowing that people will come.
Yeah.
You know, it's very much for us an education piece to people that come into the business that have never seen lidless offices before, right? You've got to educate them that, hey, these do work, they will fill, you know, it's how we sell them. It's how we sell the space.
Well, and I think a big part of it is I did a walkthrough while you guys abandoned me. But I mean, your walls aren't 8-foot walls, right?
No.
They're in places they're 10, 12 feet, and so
Yes.
it's there's more sound barrier to it than people expect, right? And then you've got a lot of I'll call it soft landing places. I'm not a designer, but places where you don't get a bunch of rebounded acoustical bounce backs and all kinds of stuff, you know, with the wood and the plants, and you've got a bunch of different tapestries and stuff like that really make the difference.
But you're right. So when you walked through the space, there was a section that we call W3 where the space is lower and it's the least desired space because of that echo. And, you know, we realized in there you'll find we've got a bit more, we've put in lids for members that have requested it. We charge more for it, but they have a lid. And that was because of the distance between the ground and where the slab was. It just was too constrained, too much echo. Yeah. We've made those mistakes.
Yeah. Well, then you learn from, right?
Yeah.
It's a constant evolution. We talked about it as you evolve or you die, right? And so that's people's expectations, their needs, their desires all continue changing.
And each of our spaces, I guess, we've found like everyone that we go to, it's just, they're all different. That's what makes it fun. I was thinking about it on the tour. What is it that's so fun? I think it's that every space is different, every area is different. And the best part, I mean, this was a really sad story, but we had a space in Neutral Bay, our building sold, we moved the space down to Cremorne. You guys went to the local Japanese store just around the corner from where our space was, and he didn't know who the girls were, but they walked in and they were buying their lunch. He said, "Oh, it's really sad, Marie. You know, I don't have as many customers coming into the shop anymore. You know, there's this office building. It's shut down. It's moved. All their members have gone. All their tenants have gone. Didn't call them members. All the tenants are gone." And it just, I guess, solidified for me how much of an impact that we're having on the local communities and all the businesses that are around there. And the minute our business moves, it impacts just that local economy so much. But in a positive way, it impacts the local business so much. It's such a positive impact. And all of these scattered everywhere. Imagine all the businesses, the cafes, the childcares, the gyms, using all of those services. That's exciting. That's what I love.
Well, and I mean, back to connecting with people, right? It's you get to make a difference in your members' lives and your employees' lives and your team members' lives based off of, you know, your transparency. And we've talked about it, right? Is, you know, mental health is such a major part of where we are in our world today. Is we basically all were segregated to our homes for a allotted amount of time that was supposed to be a short time and became a long time. And I know it was really bad here. I had friends that were living here in Australia, and they're like, I mean, you can't do anything. They're like, I went outside to sit down and read a book, and they
moved you on.
Yeah,
literally.
And so, and you only had like a certain amount of I guess radius. You could go out. You couldn't run. You couldn't. Or you had time frames, and so it's just crazy. And so people long to have those things. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. And I think that's where we get to make a difference. And sometimes we don't really take that into account.
No, we don't. I mean, you speak on mental health, and for me, I hadn't really had any mental health. I hadn't really experienced in a full effect anxiety or sort of this where you feel like you're trapped. I had a baby 12 or so months ago, and the first 6 months of that baby, I called her the baby because I wasn't connecting with my baby for probably the first 6 months, and I felt crippled. You know, I was trying to work, I was working, I was trying to look after Harley. I was not fulfilling anything. I was trying to play a role as a partner, and that just nothing was clicking, nothing was working. It was the first time in my life that I felt so crippled by anxiety. You know, it'd get to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I would be so worried about the next couple of hours, what it was going to be like, how I was going to get her to sleep. And so for me, the reason I mention it is it's totally changed my view on mental health and how much community matters in that, and how much you need to talk about it, because when I wasn't talking about it, I was spiraling and becoming worse and worse and worse. And when I started to talk about the challenges that I was feeling and being really open about how challenging I was finding it, I felt so much better. Yeah, and it's so important.
Well, first of all, postpartum is real, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't realize how real it is.
Yeah.
And mental health is real, right?
Yeah.
And, people ask me all the time why I'm so open about it and my struggles is because I want to sit here and tell you because it helps other people, and it does, but it helps me. It keeps me honest. It reminds me I've beat this thing before, right? It's not the first time. And that's the problem with some of our personalities, right? I go until my body and my mind and my spirit tell me, you got to stop, right?
Yeah.
And it's not pretty ever, right? Because, my family knows that when I'm being quiet, and you guys are spending enough time with me, when I'm being quiet or, not playful or bantering or any of those things, they're like, what's wrong with you? And it's typically I'm really sick, or whether it be physically or mentally, right? And I need to do something different, right? And so I think that's a big part of what we get to do is people walk in, we get to see them, and we see them, you guys see them more than their own family do sometimes, and even your team members and stuff like that. We spend more time at the office than we do at home.
We do, and we gotta be there for everyone when they need it.
So speaking of, how did you become an overachiever and why?
I don't even know where to start. I think just my family, probably. My parents really drove me growing up just to work really hard at a lot of different things. I don't know if I don't know if I'd call myself an overachiever, but I definitely strive.
I asked you what you did, and you gave me 7 different roles.
Yeah. That's because I'm a dabbler. I like trying lots of different
That's
things.
an overachiever. That's still an overachiever.
Yeah, I mean.
So was there an expectation for you to do more with your family, or is it something you decided to take on?
I think my family really let me try anything that I liked, really. And there is definitely, maybe it's coming from a migrant background as well. My mum's Greek and my dad's Lebanese, and it definitely their parents came here and they wanted them to have everything.
Opa, we're gonna break everything.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that they're really hard workers, and I think they just wanted me to do my best. And
Siblings, how many?
2 younger sisters.
Oh, so you're the oldest?
I'm the eldest, yeah.
That explains so much.
Yeah.
So what's the age difference between you and the youngest?
5 years.
So you were changing diapers at one point.
Yeah, so that's probably where it comes from, I would say.
And it's always interesting when you ask simple questions like that. You're like, oh, that makes sense, right?
I think you've grown so much since joining the business. Paula, really, you take your time and you learn something, and then you really take on the next challenge, and you grab. Paula's thing is just to grab it and I'll work it out. I'll work it out once I've got it. Now I'm going to work on it. I'm going to go for it. And the impact that you have, Paula's fabulous at building teams, and the people that she brings in and the time that you give to the people, I think is something. You've always got time, always accessible. Yeah, you've developed a lot since you first walked in. And you know the role inside out.
Yeah.
You've done it. You've done every single role that you could. So I think that's.
Well, and so did you. You said you started as a receptionist,
I did, and you were a
was
space leader.
Yeah. And so I think that's a really cool part is when you give people the opportunity to grow, right? Almost like this whole interaction right here. It just happened so naturally. You just started praising her and giving her what I call gifts, right? And so sometimes someone creates the space and we step into it because it becomes safe.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Thanks for letting me be here for it. So where does WOTSO go from here? Obviously, you just had a landlord walking through, and is there goals? Is there expectations from your leadership? What does that look like?
So we want to be the biggest provider of flex in Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
We don't want to go outside Australia and New Zealand just yet. It's not for us. We know our market really well, and we think that there's a large addressable market here in Australia and New Zealand. We want to be at 40 locations by the end of next year. We want to be at 100 locations sort of within the next 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't want to grow for growing's sake, which makes it kind of challenging to partner that growth but make sure we do it sustainably. So for us, we sort of know we can grow by 6 to 7 locations a year at the moment, and then we've got to accelerate that growth. I think focusing on the suburbs and regions is our game. We know how to play in that area. We know we need to have CBD hubs now that our members can use. We didn't realise we needed those until we had them, and then our members all responded and said, yes, we want more of these. So we will have a couple of CBD hubs, but small ones. Otherwise, we'll be in the suburbs and regions. I think our board we're a listed company, but we're built on, I guess, family values and morals. My dad, I don't know if you know, my dad's the chairman of our business.
No.
Yeah, so he's the chairman, so I work for my dad, which comes with it. I actually think my dad and I get on really well. Our relationship's definitely developed a lot since working together, and he's probably one of those, I speak super openly and honestly with him, which has been great. He's seen me at my worst, obviously being his child, but he's also seen me hopefully at my best. But I think that the business is, we really try to build that in. Paula has her partner at work. Hope you didn't mind me disclosing that. And then we've got my brother-in-law is at work. Who else? We've got other relationships in there. Nieces, siblings. Oh yeah, your sister as well. Yeah. So we're very built on nepotism, I guess. But it works for us. It's part of who we are.
And again, as long as you manage things well, that's not a problem, right? It's actually quite the opposite. It allows what you're working with to a certain extent, right? And it doesn't work for everyone.
You can be quite open, I feel, and quite honest. I mean, I'm sure it presents challenges along the way. It certainly presents challenges with my dad along the way. We've had some fairly aggressive conversations, but out of that, we seem to somewhat get closer if you can get past the conversation. But I think that's why I love it as well, is my relationship. I just keep coming back to this. How could I not answer a question around what am I passionate for or why? And I think part of it is also dad. I love working with dad. Yeah, it's cool. It's built our relationship a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's so valuable, right? Yeah. When you get to have those interactions, because it's based on respect.
Yeah.
Right, and sometimes that precedent's already been set there. And okay, so now let's talk about roles. Like, what's your actual, who's between you and the board? Is it
me and the board.
CEO, and then it goes strictly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So CEO, and then I've got a board built with 3 old men. The board's
3 old white crusty men.
Yeah,
the diversity ticket.
I'm the diversity card.
You're the bad driver.
Yeah. I'm the bad driver. So we've got a board of 3. Our CFO Chris has been with the business 3 years now. He's probably the other diversity card, because our business is predominantly female. We're probably 90% female. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, not through design, right? It's through whoever's best for the role, right? Gets the role. It's never been about trying to, we have a diversity policy, right? The diversity policy, our board wanted to rip up and say, right, well, they did. They ripped it up and said, right, what we actually do for diversity. And the thing for diversity is we employ the right person for the role. We're not trying to tick a box. And I say that openly. We're trying to employ the right people for the role, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. Do they do the job well?
Yeah, and we had that discussion earlier with planning these panels at conferences. I'm like, people are paying a lot of money to fly in, take time, energy, effort to spend with these conferences, or to come experience what you've built here at WOTSO. We can't put people in a diversity role that can't fill that, right? And so we have to put the best people on stage. We've got to put the best people at the front desk. We have to put the best people that are going to help us be successful, because you have to go sell, right?
Yeah, and you've got to put the right people in the right role. It doesn't matter what they are. It seems, it's funny that, it's not funny, but it's, I find it odd that we're focused on diversity when if we just are naturally human, we will be diverse, right? We will. We should be. That is how we are. We will go to the right people for the right thing.
Yeah.
And if that's a white man for a particular thing, that's a white man for a particular thing. If it's, something else for something else, it's, it is.
So she got to give you feedback and gifts. What would you say about
Oh God,
her?
but she already gave me feedback. Paula already gave me feedback.
I looked at her.
Sorry.
What's the question? Feedback on
So
her driving?
her mom took care of that this morning. I mean, what is it that you love about working for her? Look at her, she's turning red. She's a horrible receiver.
Getting quite warm.
I really respect Jessie's work ethic. I think that, just like as someone, if, as you said, if I'm an overachiever, I think that Jessie's definitely an overachiever, and I think that's really inspiring. And it's nice to the momentum of working alongside someone that is just so hungry and so driven. And also, the thing about Jessie is that when we come to site, if there is someone that needs help, that she will do anything. If there's a kitchen that needs to be tidied, if there's someone that needs to be toured, if someone needs to be helped at the front desk, if she's there, she will do that. And I really respect that and admire that in a leader.
Well, it helps you be better, right?
Yeah.
And and as a leader, you can't expect someone to do something you're not willing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And people laugh at me, and I'm very intentional about stuff like that. If we haven't had to experience that so far yet, but if I'm walking through a space or I'm walking through a parking lot or whatever, I pick up trash. Yeah. And people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "If this was my property, I'd want someone to pick it up." I did scrub a toilet earlier.
Yeah.
Oh God, someone have skitties.
Yeah. It's so interesting. That's what I said between South Africa and here. I'm like, if I bring toilets, I would be so rich. I'm like, and when we were in South Africa, I was like, I don't know if y'all do gerbil bits or what happens because, I mean, nothing works here.
Oh.
But yeah, it's funny. I walked in the bathroom and just peeked in the stalls, and I was like, what? Who does this, right? I'm glad men are horrible all over the place. I'm like, but either way, I don't say that because of anything other than the fact that's what we're called to do, right? If someone was in my space, my home, my whatever, you take care of it, right? And it's not always easy, right? It's not always comfortable, but
it's like someone that leaves the toilet roll empty and they don't get the new one out and put it on, and they just leave the toilet roll.
Yeah.
Well, the way I tell people, the way you do one thing, you do everything.
Yeah, true.
And it's so true, right? And so you can get mad at people like that, or you can feel sorry for people like that. But it's like, oh my gosh, if putting a new toilet roll on is that difficult, how do you handle your relationships? How do you handle any type of setbacks or, opposition? It's just so crazy just to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, so 100 locations.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, this at the end of the day, we talk about the community, we talk about giving back. At the same time, we're a listed company and we have to make our shareholders money, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've got to do, and we've at the same time got to grow the distribution that we pay out to our shareholders. This is a game of scale, but we've got to, get there sustainably and efficiently. But it will be exciting when we're 100 locations. We'll be a completely different beast. I think even now we're seeing that shift. We've got 120 team members. That is a shift from a business. We went through that shift at 50. When we tipped over 50, we became a different business. We sort of tipped over 100. That it sort of felt a bit challenging or somewhat challenging. Now getting to 120, we need to build and work on the team. And that, what my biggest fear is that we lose how tight we all are, and I don't know how easy it feels, and I think you naturally lose
and
that authenticity. Yeah, like it goes. How do you speak to every single person about the why?
Yeah.
Why you're here when you can't get there and you can't be there all the time?
Yeah.
That's going to be really hard. So at 100 locations, we have to work on that bit because that's how we'll be. That's how we'll be exciting, and this will still be fun. If we can't work on that or don't get that right, I think it'll just be business for business's sake.
Well, it's culture, right?
Yeah,
and we've been having that conversation, right?
Yeah.
You're setting the tone, both of you all in leadership roles, of how you handle stuff, and I think that's what gets lost. And we talked about at the conference, and I was very specific about calling out people, right? It's the best groups are the regional groups or the local groups that do have that, right? You do walk through, and they're like, oh, that's giving away Jesse walking through, or giving away glue. Give away glue. But I mean, people need to know that, right? They want to know that. They want to be seen, whether it be your team members, which is the important part, because then your team members then serve the rest of everybody else. And I think the more people can see that transparency and open and honesty, the more they're like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, and it's okay. right? And so, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. But I mean, I'll tell you, I've been super impressed not only by you and our time together and everything you're doing, but then as I've gotten to tour a couple of your spaces and meet with Paula, and I mean, and then know that your dad's involved and all those things, right? Those aren't things you ever consider. And so I think that's the really cool part is you start having those conversations, those dynamics. It's really cool and it's super unique. And, you know, the fact that you're doing the ownership thing too, that's really the route to go.
Well, I thought off the back of the conference, just feedback, unsolicited, but I'm going to give it. Am I allowed to give it?
Do you not have to ask for permission?
I think what you brought we were talking about it before on the way over to our meeting. We feel that you brought it together, like built, you know, you through being and bagging people out and having a bit of banter, we all felt it dropped everyone's guard.
Yeah.
And so I left that conference feeling really enthused and excited about the community of Flex. And I think you there, you know, broke that down and allowed everyone to just drop their guard and be who they are and have a bit of fun. And so thank you.
Of course. But I think the beauty of it is that's what you get to do, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and not everyone's good at it. I had to learn. I mean, I've been doing this, trying to figure out myself for 16 years. And it's a constant, you think you get there and then you have to peel back the lead the next time, you know, and you run into people and you're like, man, am I what they're calling me, right? Because I'll tell you, because of my conservative Christian political positions, people assume that I'm racist or I'm prejudiced or and I'm like, you don't even know me, right? I mean, I would take the shirt off my back for a stranger. But again, I had to realize that people, when you put yourself in a leadership role, when you put yourself in a position of driving change, there's always going to be people that are going to push against it because they don't want it.
Yeah.
And so the same thing you're going to experience as you continue growing as leaders, right? Is going, you know, I don't know, you've probably heard the saying, but you hire slow, fire fast, right? There's people that aren't going to fall into the community that you're trying to build. And so you've just got to be able to do that and realize that it's going to be an evolution, right? So self-acknowledgement's a big part that you're in, right? And you've already, just the awareness that you had when you walked in, you sat down, it was like, you put your head down like a little school kid that had gotten in trouble. You're like, he asked me a question, I should have been more honest. And I didn't have to tell you that because you knew that's where we're going to end up, right? And so, but the fact that you even acknowledged that and got there, now you get to decide to do what you do with that, right? And you know, that's the really cool part. So we're going to end on a really cool note that's going to be really difficult for you.
Oh God.
So if your dad was sitting right over there, what would you say to him?
Oh, you're my idol, my mentor. I look up to you, and I hope I can be somewhat what you are when I'm your age, with a bit more of a social side. My dad is incredibly not a social gentleman, so yeah, that would be what I would say.
That's awesome. Well,
Maybe emotional at the same time.
Well, I appreciate y'all taking time. Thank you for stretching, and I know it was somewhat uncomfortable, so hopefully it wasn't too bad.
That was fun.
But I mean, I think that's the cool part is when you're just yourself, you don't really have to worry about any of it.
Yeah, that was fun.
But I'm excited to continue our relationship and see how it evolves. And I already told Mary, I said, I'll be back next year. I don't know to what capacity. We'll figure it out. But
That's if I don't kill you in the drive on the way home.
yeah, I'm not worried about that. I've survived way worse things. Thank you.